thanks for watching 4-Color Commentary. I'm Mark Allen, and today I'm gonna classify this video in the Rousing reference material category as I continue to go through the comic collection and integrate a large number of comics into it. I've dug something out that my LCS owner turned me on to years ago. First of all, the character The Spirit, Golden Age character, started out a newspaper strip character. Primarily, it's still known as a newspaper strip character by those who know the history of comics. And so, I'm talking about The Spirit, Will Eisner's creation. Will Eisner being one of the greatest storytellers, one of the greatest artists to ever pen a page in the strip or comic strip or comic book industry. And he came up with The Spirit when he was fairly young. Of course, Will Eisner is an interesting figure to begin with because he was one of the early ones to realize the importance of character ownership, property ownership, and he owned The Spirit outright from the very beginning. But this is really cool because these are some little black and white. Well, let's start at the beginning. In 1972, Eisner issued some black and white reproductions of the Spirit Sunday editions. Now they're black and white, but the Sunday editions would fold up into little comic books. Okay, and in 1972 they released 30 of these reproductions, and they are very cool reproductions of the first 30 Will Eisner strips. I believe that's right. I've got 30 strips here. They were marketed in packages of 10. And what's really cool about this set that I got years ago was they have with them the little advertising cardboard stand-up on there. It says the 10 comic book sections as they originally appeared, 1940 through 1952. Now the ones I have are 1940, I should say June 2nd, 1940 through December 29th, 1940. I mean, successive. And so I'm not sure what to do about that date, 1940, 1952. I don't know if they meant to issue more, or but the first 10 were just all 30 that I have are from 1940. And so there was actually 3 of these: a greenish one, a yellow one, and a blue one. And these were meant obviously to go up at the newsstand or comic store, whatever. And just a really neat little piece of artwork there by Will Eisner with all the characters there and advertising the little reproductions. But I love these things. They're fun reads, even in black and white. And to get them all is just kind of a really neat little side gig. Sometimes they're one of those things that go up and down on eBay and such as that. Really hard to find out in the wild. If you see them in the wild, it's good to grab them if you can afford it and if you can get them. And no telling what they'll be valued at. If you were to find these at an antique store or something like that, they might be very cheap. But one of the coolest things about it, as you all know, I'm a history guy, and one of the reasons why this is two cool things about it. One of the reasons why I'm calling this a rousing reference material is because on the back of each individual strip, you have some information by Will Eisner. Just talking about the history of that strip. And he talked about, in this very first one, he talked about working with Busy Arnold. And so he was, just really neat Golden Age information there. And they have, every one of them has, words by Will Eisner on the back of, just on the back of the strip. Just really cool stuff. And the second thing that was really cool about this, again, rousing reference material, is this reproduction. Now, I don't know if this was originally put into every reproduction or if this is just something that I got through my local comic shop. I'm not sure. Someone out there could probably tell me. But what we have here is a reproduction of an article about the Spirit and about Will Eisner from the Philadelphia Record, 1941. I believe this was in October of 1941. A mimeographed copy. And what's really cool about this article is that even back then, and the Spirit strip had already started going, but in 1941, Will Eisner was talking about the comic strip being a burgeoning art form. And that's just really cool. And I'm trying to find where that was because I wanted to read a little bit about that, and I'll just do that right now. He says this: the comic strip, he explains, talking about Will Eisner, the comic strip, he explains, is no longer a comic strip, but in reality an illustrated novel. It is new and raw in form just now, but material for limitless, intelligent development. And eventually and inevitably, it will be a legitimate medium for the best of writers and artists. It is already the embryo, Eisner apologizes a little for the trite phrase, of a new art form. And he believes in it and will stay with it, proudly and without apologies. Even now, with all his love of the classical painters, he finds it a satisfactory form of self-expression. I love that. And that is a great piece of history. Dig that, go online and look for, maybe Google The Spirit of 41 Philadelphia record. You know, maybe even, there's a date stamped on this, and it was mimeographed as well, October 13th. 1941. You might look that up. It's a great article, and it's a great piece of history. No wonder Eisner was considered, and is still considered, and will always be considered, one of the pioneers of the field of comics. Comics in general. When I talk about comics, I'm talking about strips and books, always. And so you know, just the neat thing to search out. And they're just called you know, the comic book. Let's see, they're called collector's editions. Black and white reproductions of the Spirit comic strips from 1940. So anyway, just kind of a neat little piece of information. If you're one of the younger collectors and you've never sought out or checked out Will Eisner, check out his work. Even the first stories of the Spirit are really entertaining. They're going to seem simplistic by today's standards, but there's a beauty in them, and his art, just watching it develop, even as a young man, is just amazing. So anyway, any way you can get those strips reproduced, or any way you can find them reprinted, is great. You know, whether it's through Kitchen Sinks, old stuff, or Dark Horse, or DC's. The best way to go is DC's archive editions, which is one of the things on my long-term one of the things on my long-term plan list. And so anyway, just wanted to share that with you today. And The Spirit by Will Eisner. You can't beat it. You can come close. But I've thought this was unbeatable for a long, long time. It is what it is. It's a very original, very unique, and it's just a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next video.